What is up, guys? Angry Gamer coming at you today. So, I just heard recently about this closure of these 4 studios at Microsoft. I didn't just hear it, I heard about it yesterday. And, I was kind of pissed off for a second. And I was like, man, what is going on with this gaming community? We all know what's going on. Like, half these publishers and developers are going woke. And that's the big key, and that's why Microsoft is getting in a jiffy. And the thing is, but they're laying off the wrong companies. That's the problem. And it isn't like the first time we've seen it. We saw Platinum Games when they were making that dragon riding game. That game looked awesome, but that was also being made in Japan. And then you got the people who made Evil Within and all these other games. Arcane Studios. I mean, we're talking about Dishonored. We're talking about all these games that they're working on that are no longer studios. I wanted to make this video saying, look, this may be a better thing for them. For the people that have been laid off, I know it sucks. As a home builder, I've been laid off before, and I know exactly how y'all feel. You're just like at a lost cause. There's one thing that sucks about being a home builder is that you have to depend on other home builders to pick you up. But when you're a game developer and you know how to program, there's so many ways to form groups with other programmers and make independent games. And this is the season to be making independent game studios. Period. The end. You look at Baldur's Gate 3. You look at V Rising. That game looks amazing. There is a lot of games. The game I'm playing right now is an independent game studio. There are tons of good games out there, and a lot of people want to get away with these big publisher AAA. I mean, everybody hates the AAA community right now. Like, everybody. Anybody that's a gamer, we're so tired of being nickel and dime. And the only people that seem that are not nickel and diming us are the indie developers. And I really do feel in these next couple of years, we're going to see some big hits with these AAA developers. They may turn their shit around, but we're not going to get anything really good out of them for a while now. With all these, studios being closed, Sony's doing the same thing, Xbox doing it. If they're not closing the studio, they're laying off, which means the games that they were originally working on are not going to be coming out anytime soon. So the thing is, though, we got to sit here and think, what kind of game studios y'all want to build? Those people that got laid off, do not. When you make a great game, I mean, you're probably not going to listen to me. It would be in your best interest to not get pulled up by a publisher with these big, like Microsoft, but like Sony, Deep Silver. Stay independent. Work for yourselves. Make your own games. Make the game you wanted to make. Don't make some stupid shit. The people who was making Deadfall or whatever game is with the vampires, make the game you wanted to, the single player game you wanted to, before Bethesda got their hands on y'all and said, nah, you're gonna make a online service game. Make the game you wanted, because I'm pretty sure that game would have been badass, because we're talking about Arcane Studios here. We're talking about Dishonored, okay? We're not talking about some bullshit game. We're talking about a game that they made 2 games of because they were so damn good. This is what I'm trying to say, is that this may not be a bad thing. I know it sucks to be let go and not know what the next day is to behold. The job occupation you have is probably one of the best in any type of industry, because you're able to pick up and go. Game engines that they build today, like Unreal Engine 5, the engines they build today make things so easy. And the reason why I know this is because me and my brother-in-law, we tried creating our own game. That's all I'm trying to say, is I've worked with Unreal Engine, and I am a person who doesn't know programming. I'm a person that doesn't know a lot about game engine. My brother-in-law, he's a programmer. I was doing the level designing in the game, okay? I was doing all the level designing. Yes, I may have used some of the assets that you could buy, like characters, but you could also talk to those other, the artists, and say, hey, we want our character to look such and such. Can you maybe make something and then give us some mock-ups, and then we'll decide which one we want to do. And see, that's what I'm trying to say, is this day in this industry, things are easier for any developer than they have ever been. It's not like it's super hard. You can have somebody like me who can physically do the map editing while you have somebody who knows how to program. All me and my brother-in-law were trying to do was make a horror game. We were just gonna make a little simple horror game, maybe something like 3 or 4 hours long, nothing too big, just maybe ask for $5, nothing that just to see what it was, and we got decently far. We created the mansion, I created the mansion, or the way the layouts and everything, and he started, making guns work. He was making feedback with the weapons that you could pick up, and we only had like 3 weapons. We had a pipe, a hand axe, a gun, just a regular handgun, and he was making it where you had all those little 3D dummies, and they would charge at you, and he could shoot them, and he could hit them with the pipe. And then he also made it where the walls were destructive. We had somebody like Mr. X roaming the mansion too, and he was super strong, and he could bust through walls and all kinds of stuff on certain key points. I remember watching YouTube videos on how to make cloth physics and stuff like that, and what do you know, I did it. I was able to just watch YouTube and figure this stuff out. This is the day and age to be an indie developer and make great games. great games because the engine does it all pretty much for you. The lighting, the terrain, all you need is certain assets, and then you can reuse those assets to make something different and to create something completely different that was originally used for those assets. You could actually just buy a bunch of 2x4 assets and then just make a building out of those assets and then merge all those single assets into one big asset, and then it's a building. It was just so simple to use Unreal Engine 5, and Unreal Engine 5, I'm just saying, it's amazing what you can do with that. And for people to be upset that you can't, that they got laid off, yes, I'm not, hating on them. Microsoft for doing what they're doing, because Tango Studios, man, y'all made some great. The Evil Within was amazing. You got Hi-Fi Rush, you got all these great games that they were working on, and they were a Japanese studio, something Microsoft desperately needed. And I'm starting to wonder if Microsoft they don't really like these Japanese studios, maybe because they didn't like the game that Platinum Games was bringing out, and they shut that shit down real quick. But what's funny is you got Lost Odyssey, you got Blue Dragon, you got all these great hits that were from Japanese studios, and now Microsoft just doesn't want any part of them. If you want to port your game to Xbox, yeah, that's great, but that doesn't help people that are in Japan wanting to make games. Like, this was the first game studio you owned in Japan, really. You owned them, and they were making great games. Y'all just threw them to the wind. I understand, but maybe that's the best thing to happen, You look at Hideo Kojima making his own independent game studio, and the games he's making are great. They're amazing. And another thing that's so great about his Unreal and Blender is that you can scan your body. You can scan your body. You buy a scanner for about $200. You can scan anything into the game. And all you got to do is paint, texture, and boom, bada bang, you're done. And it's very simple to watch YouTube videos and go to training classes. You don't need a full-on editing class. You don't need a degree to make a game. You can literally have classes that show you how to do all this, and you don't need to go to school for it. You can make your own game. This is the best time for this. You don't need somebody like a AAA studio, helping you get through those moments. We as a gaming community will help you. Just give us and let us know what ideas you got, and then if we like it, we're going to support it if it's a good idea. And half the shit is getting woke these days because they don't want to upset a certain community, which I'm tired of that shit too. And when you're an indie developer, you can avoid all that. Who cares, right? When they ask, is this for a specific community, you can say, look, we don't want to get into that. We don't need to, because we're indie developers. If you like the game, go ahead and buy it, support it, and then bing bada boom, you're done. That's what I'm trying to get at here. This is not a death sentence for these people. Yes, it sucks, but this is probably what the gaming community actually needs. The gaming community for AAA studios has just gone downhill. It's just trash. Everything's trash. Call of Duty's trash. We don't have any really good first-person war shooters anymore. We got Gray Zone that just dropped. We got Amar and all these big communities like Bohemia. These are all good independent studios. They're just coming to my mind that have created great games. And the problem is that this is something that probably needed to happen. It really did. I'm kind of glad that these gaming communities will actually they're gonna get hired on by somebody else, but hopefully, most likely, it'll be an independent company, or maybe y'all just create your own independent company. You only need 5 people that know what they're doing, make a decent game. Thank God Moon Studios, they even came out and said that we're glad that we didn't let Microsoft buy us out. Moon Studios, they came out and said that we're glad that we're just an independent studio because, dude, the game they're making looks amazing. They can do whatever they want. And also on top of that, they decided to try and hire in a DEI just to, help out this community. And then they come to figure out they were causing too much friction. And what did they do? They laid him off because they are not owned by a AAA company. I bet you if they were owned by Microsoft would be like, you need to listen to him. You need to do exactly what he wants. And that's the problem, is that we sit here and we look at this. These game studios are just asinine, dude. Just asinine. I can't believe that we're at this today and age where people are upset that they got laid off when it's just so easy to make games. I understand if you're going to come at me and say they're in a division that can easily be outsmarted and outdone, and in most indie games that are coming out today are better than what's actually coming out with AAA studios. Start with something small. You don't need to start with something big. Start with something small that'll get you some money, and then you can go with bigger and bigger and bigger. That's what we were planning on doing with our game, and it was just two guys in a room that were working on the weekend. That was it. And yes, I didn't bring anything out, and yes, we didn't complete the game. Not saying that we got rid of the game, and we may do it later on, but the thing is it's there. We didn't need no support. I was using my money to buy assets and stuff like that. I wasn't going to ask for people, to provide money for that game, but we were trying to make something exactly like Condemned. The first first one. A set piece, running through corridors, running through mansions, and just having different things to fight and shoot and guns. And it was just supposed to be a good Condemned remake looking game. It wasn't going to be Condemned, but, I figured that's something that was missing the horror genre. That's what I told him. I even, showed him, we played it together, and I said, this is the game that we should make because this is what's missing in the gaming community, I feel. Yes, you have all these hide and seek games, but then on top of that, but you don't have something that's more interactive, more fighting, more fun. That's what I wanted to do. That's what our game was all about. But other than that, guys, don't look at this as a bad thing. Look at it as a positive thing, and just try and enjoy gaming. Man, I'm kind of done supporting Xbox and the way they're just treating all this shit. It's amazing to see how far off the turnip truck they've fallen. They're sitting here buying all these studios, but then on the top back end, they can't even seem to support these guys. It's the same thing as I knew something was up when they decided to let go of Lionhead Studios. But other than that, guys, let me know in the comments what y'all think. These guys will be fine, and they need to go out and they need to get together with the people that they originally worked with and maybe have a 5-man team and just create some indie games, get your foot off the ground, or create a bigger studio. Don't join any AAA games once you get famous. Don't do it. Don't let your ass get bought out. That's all I gotta say. That's it, guys. Later.